decided, let's have Pesach now, or let's have Shavuos now. It was
Judy would be explaining this so much better than me. I'm intimidated.
There are rules.
right.
Right?
But it was
the first
based
mitzvah of the Torah. The first mitzvah of the Torah. Can you imagine how important it is? It's the first mitzvah that was given in the Torah.
Of Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah, Chodesh Haseh Lachem. That means that the Jewish people, it talks about Hashem's partnership with us. That the Jewish people sights the moon, and then there's a whole process. You have to go to the Beis Din, and the Beis Din, interrogates the person to a pair of
Two
witnesses, right? Unrelated, lots and lots of rules, but then if it matches what the calculations are and what the understanding is, then they say Makudish, Makudish. That means that the Beis Din declares that the month is the month. And because Shmerel came from Beit Shemesh to Yerushalayim to say, I saw the new moon, all of Am Yisrael is fasting on Yom Kippur. All of Am Yisrael is making a Seder.
Wow.
It's an amazing thing.
Wow.
It's an amazing thought.
Wow.
And they could be Machal Shabbos to do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
Yes, they can be Machal Shabbos to do this. That's how important.
Why would that be true?
It's very
Why
important.
would that be? If somebody that can be trusted to that level,
Right.
and they're not keeping Shabbos, which means that they don't believe.
No, not that they're a Machal Shabbos. No, they keep Shabbos usually, but they're allowed to Machal Shabbos this one time.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood you. I mean, I thought that you were saying
No,
they're
no.
not keeping Shabbos.
It's like
They Machal Shabbos to get to Yerushalayim.
Somebody is sick,
testify.
right? The life, right? You violate Shabbos. That's saying that's how important it is.
But so
Wow.
I thought
So
like it,
important.
But
like
they're
it's
allowed to.
nefesh.
Wow.
You get on a donkey and ride to.
Wow.
Then it's how is it? I don't understand how it's before nefesh. Like how it could be on the level of before nefesh to be Machal Shabbos.
The calendar of the Jewish people, how would that be important?
Of
When-
course, it's important.
But it's a mega important.
Well-
Did you Yom Kippur?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. It's not like no one's gonna die because of it, but it's like the whole, it's
But maybe
everything.
that, yes, on a spiritual level, yes, because if you're off one day and it's Yom Kippur, on your spiritual level is dying if you're not keeping.
And if you could look at it inside, we learned this thing about, there was two rabbis who weren't sure which day was Yom Kippur.
Mhm.
And you want to continue to try to remember it?
So one of them said, well, it's another issue.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
doesn't
but-
really have to do with the blessing of the moon, but it has to do with like the authority of the Sanhedrin. But it's saying, but that's the point. It says that it is equally important. This is the national health of the
Spiritual.
right.
So
Rosh
This is my
Hashanah,
question then.
Pesach has to come out on this
Okay,
day.
so do they have to be in a certain location? Couldn't people see it from Yerushalayim? They couldn't see the moon from Yerushalayim?
No, as a
might
matter of
have.
fact, what they did, man,
Please.
what they did is
Force it down?
is they made a big smorgasbord. They made comfortable chairs. They did everything they could do to encourage people. Somebody might say, somebody in Yerushalayim, I'm sure they saw it. I'm not going to travel all the way from wherever I am to go tell them that I saw the moon. Somebody else will do it. No, they tempted them with food and with comfort and with honor, so that everybody should want to come and to testify that that's how important it is. That's how important. First mitzvah in the Torah, and the
No, I just
Shabbos.
don't understand why they couldn't see from Yerushalayim though. Why?
Maybe in Yerushalayim there's clouds there.
They were
It could
sleeping
be-
at the time.
Yeah, it could be cloudy in Yerushalayim and sunny in Beit Shemesh. That's Beit Shemesh. You never really. So you shouldn't just assume that somebody else is going to do it. They wanted everybody to
Did
come.
hundreds
And
of
it used to be-
thousands of people come to testify?
No, but there would be like, it would have to be two people would have to.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, whatever. Would be interesting. How long have we had a calendar?
Just
I can't.
Okay, so I just want to clarify something that Judy said with my glasses.
On your head, I'm right here. That's my grandfather. We have mine. He said car in the house.
Yeah, I do that too. It's the first mitzvah given to the Jewish people as a nation. It's not the first mitzvah. We had some mitzvahs before that, but it's definitely the first mitzvah that was given to the Jews as a nation, okay?
From Har Sinai, after Har Sinai.
No, I think it was in the Midbar. No, it was in Shmos. It was before. Here it says here, mitzvah Rishona Shabbat Yisrael Kiyam. It's in Shmos. I think it's before. Chodesh Hazeh Lechem Rosh Chodeshim is the first mitzvah given to Bnei Israel as a nation. Okay, so there's the Medrash that talks about the differences between the sun and the moon. Okay, some of these we know. The sun represents the nations of the world. Okay, and the moon represents us, right? The Jewish people. And you're going to see, hopefully in a minute, how that. Hey, the moon is visible day and night. The truth of the matter is, I don't remember in America seeing the moon during the day.
I've seen it.
What?
Yeah.
Here you see it all the time.
Oh, okay. But the moon, the light of the moon is really a reflection of the sun.
It's what?
A reflection of the sun. It doesn't have its own light.
Right.
Because the sun is a star. The moon is
Right.
just a body.
We did the sun.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, what does it mean that they were?
Clear. Okay. Basically, that the sun is static. Static. Sun doesn't change. The sun is the sun is the sun. You know, it's reliable. It rises
sets.
in the east and sets in the west. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You know, every single day rise. When we talked about the sun, that we said how it makes us feel good, makes us feel comfortable, makes us feel secure. You know, it's definitely healing.
Right.
But like it's very important to have something that's constant, right?
Reliable.
We call it a deer. Which I love that word. Okay, so the moon is, we said, is visible day and night, which indicates that Klal Yisrael has ascendancy. We rise, we can rise in this world and in the next world. We have that potential to get higher and higher and what's a better word than higher? Ascend. Yeah, but
Elevate.
Yeah, you're right. It is all the same thing. But what do we mean when we say elevate? What do we mean when we say we get higher? It means our what do you call it? Not quantitative, qualitative. We go higher and higher. Spiritually, we go higher and higher. But with Asa, the non-Jews, they only ascend in this world. They don't have the next world to always work and to rise and to grow. The moon is constantly in a state of flux, right? Constantly changing. And that's, you know, we're supposed to learn from that. That actually, this is a quote right from this book that Ora has. The moon is in a constant state of flux and renewal, reflecting our ability to reinvent ourselves and reinvigorate our spiritual state after a downturn. That means like we know that we don't give up ever, right? We never give up. We can mess up really bad, scream our brains off at somebody that we love, and then you don't go into a room and say I'm a horrible person and I don't deserve anything. I just might as well just crawl into a hole. No. Or if you want to do that, and then call the person and apologizes, and then some flowers, and if it's me, send me chocolates, don't. Whatever. No, don't do it. Don't do it, Pearson. But we're not like that. We're not static like the sun. We're compared to the moon that we make a mistake. What do? We get up and we fix our mistakes. We can change things. Okay, just like the moon changes. And then when it says Shemesh Yadam Mavo, where the sun knows its destination. So the annual cycle of the sun is much more regular, right, than that of the moon, which seems to change and move in an erratic manner. But at the end of the day, the sun knows where it's going and the moon doesn't. That's from the Gemara. That's and the Radak. I'm not even 100% sure what it means that the moon doesn't know where it's going. I mean, it does have the same cycle every month, but I guess because it's
All
they,
the time is not different.
Yeah.
Every day is different place.
and we know that the woman, the Rechov, then we have the cycle, or most of us had the cycle. Where we can relate to the things, we can relate to the moon, where the moon is, what's going
Also
on.
the sea, the water, like everything with the moon, it goes.
It does, right? With
The
tides and
ocean
stuff.
is the time. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't understand how that
yeah,
works.
neither do I.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
The water is our
Yeah, yeah.
emotion. That's why maybe doesn't know
Sure.
like everything.
They say when the full moon is out, like people go crazy. No, but they say that the more people go crazy.
Oh, yeah, you
I
have
I
your
thought
baby
that
on a phone.
I don't know, but
the
there's
nature
some
babies
people
are
that-
born.
Really?
With this,
They are, but they stop short. They stop short and they praise the moon. They stop short of it. They don't keep going, which is what we learned about the sun. Is like we have to keep going and see who's the. It's like in Sharbi Tfon, right? So let's say it says that you find somebody in your life who's so good for you and so takes care of you and is worrying about you, and you're like, you might not think it, but you might not think it like consciously, but you might say, I really need Hashem because I have this person in my life. So what do you have to do? You have to think, who put this person in my life? Who put this person in Tzfat? Who put me in Tzfat? Who put me in the same Medrash that I got to meet them? Who did? It's so narrow to say, oh, I have this, I don't need anything. I'm doing good. There's actually this story. It's very shocking. I don't like to shock people if I tell people. So it's from Sharbi that says somebody asked, he was a tradesperson who did something with his hand. And so somebody said, how are you doing? And he said, I'm doing great. As long as my hand is healthy, I'm doing great. And he had an accident and got his hand chopped off.
Great.
Yeah, so I told you it's shocking. Yeah. So like if he didn't say, Baruch Hashem, I'm doing great, Hashem has given me this talent. It's harsh. I told you. I had this thing happen this Shabbat, I have to say. The air conditioner did not go on. And I made a decision. I had my family, son and daughter. Actually, they always had heat, so they didn't care. But and I made a decision. Like I can either like freak out about it, or I could say, okay, I have a fan in my room. I'll sleep in my room, I'll learn in my room, whatever I'll do, whatever, and it was fine. Now, why am I telling you this? So once a Shabbat, I went for a walk with my husband. And I said, I'm really proud of myself. No, okay, we're not supposed to talk like that. I'm not supposed to say I'm proud of myself. That's not right. So I'm thankful to Hashem that he gave me the tools to handle the fact that the air conditioner didn't work. What's my point is bringing Hashem into everything. And like I said before, I'm learning Perek Shira for the first time, and I'm seeing a few threads on every single one of the creations. One, of course, is Marabu Maseka. Is that wow, the way Hashem has created this world is unbelievable. All the different details. And the other thing is how much Hashem loves us. How much Hashem has done this and all these specific things for who? For us. It just makes, it's like closeness. It's like a hug from Hashem. So
What did the man say when he lost his hand? What did he
He
said
didn't.
he was
he
grateful?
didn't, he wasn't grateful.
He wasn't grateful?
No, beforehand.
Oh.
Those are what he said after. He said, the problem is he wasn't grateful. He said, as long as I have my hand, I'm doing fine.
Right.
Without bringing Hashem and saying, thank you, God, that I have one.
Right.
Question, and it's a little bit off the topic, but in your learning with Perek Shira, and I'm not on this page, but it comes to me lots of information. People have this belief. I don't know what I believe in this belief, but a lot of people say, and even a lot of firm people, that the world is flat, and they talk about the firmament, and that it's not round. So in your learning, has that ever come up in the discussion?
No, but I'm sure you know.
About the moon.
I know. Do you know about artificial intelligent design?
Intelligent
Look
design?
that up.
Yeah.
Look that up. It's in English and in Hebrew. Look up intelligent design. Okay. I have a book, but I think my book said there's a big book. I think it's in English and in Hebrew. I think you might get information there. Intelligent design. My husband's so into it.
About the black.
Everything about science, all different things about science.
All kinds of
Science, intelligent design. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's in English and in Hebrew. It's a big book. Okay, so like what Judy was saying is that it's the first mitzvah that was given to the Jewish people, Kiddush Shabbat, right? And so I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it's really very special that Erev Rosh Chodesh, the day before Rosh Chodesh, you go to Meron, they're going to see a lot of people because it's called Yom Kippur. So there's this thing about the moon that's also to do with tshuva. So also to do with that, it's really nice because it says tshuva. I want to read it what it says. Tshuva came before the world. Tshuva kadma leolam. It's from the Gemara. Tshuva was created before the world because Hashem saw that's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm not going to go into it now, but if you ever, I don't know if you ever read the whole thing about the sin of the golden calf, and it's very upsetting and it's very confusing. And we just got the sin of the golden calf. We just got the 10 plagues and all these different things. But the thing that the sin of the golden calf did for us is it gave us because what happened was because the golden calf, what happened? They did the golden calf, and then Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the little coats which dropped from his hands. He did not throw them. They were all of a sudden they were extremely heavy. Think about it, right? They were sapphire, very, very heavy. And all of a sudden, but it was a miracle that he didn't really feel it. But then when they did, he felt it. So then he wrote. Then Hashem told him to write this other calf that was, and he came down on. And by the way, remember you asked me last week about what kind of stone was hanging from Avram Avinu's.
Yeah.
My son looked it up, and there was like 4 pages in Hebrew for everything to do about the stone, and there's like tons written on that.
What did he?
Which stone was it?
It didn't say. It didn't say which stone, but said.
But it said that the properties of the stone, like.
The truth is, I didn't read it because it's 4 pages in Hebrew, which I.
Yeah, she wasn't here.
So last week we learned about the sun. It says that Avram Avinu had a necklace with a certain gem, a certain stone. People would look at it and they get healed. Okay, and then when he died, so what did Hashem do with that necklace, that stone? He hung it around the sun so that the people say sun has healing powers, right? Okay, so, but why did Hashem do that? Because then you look up at the sun and you'll think of the sun and what's going on in Hashem, and that's where you'll really get to. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a client actually, and he wrote a book about pure gems, not artificial gems.
Yeah,
And he does healing.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
different
right.
gems.
right. Yeah, sure.
Because that's why I
Yeah,
asked, because
yeah.
stones, but
Yeah.
even it started with the Kohen HaGadol, with
Right.
the breastplate.
Yeah.
Stones all have certain
Properties,
energy, healing
yeah.
power, but we don't know how to use it. Today, we don't know how to use the stones for what the intended purpose is.
I've been looking for the name of the stones for the breastplate because I've had 6 years now. It's like Hashem.
But they have the names. They don't, you didn't find the names?
There are the names.
There are names.
They don't know the real name.
No, there are
No,
definitely
so.
names.
Could you tell me the real names of the stones, anyone?
I don't know, but you looked it up like on a,
I tried to look it up and I've asked not Macabbi, you know, people who are much more knowledgeable than me, and they say there's some
somebody
stones
says too that they're
they
They know the names of the
Very
stones, but they
careful.
don't know exactly what stone it might be today. But they know the names of the
they have the names in Hebrew.
Yeah,
They
they know
definitely
the
have, I
names.
think it's right in the
but they don't know
Polish.
which stones they are.
That's the
thing.
more of the question.
They might not know. Some maybe they
That's
know,
more of
some
the
people
question. They
they
don't know exactly what
Yeah,
stone
right,
it might
right.
be.
Because I feel so strongly I need to get those stones as like a protection, and I don't know which stones.
Do you know that
to get.
there's a group of people, some people disagree with them, but they are trying to get things ready for the base of Mikdash.
I've heard about that.
So what do they call it? They have it like a museum right next to the hotel. I mean upstairs.
Oh, no, we were just talking about this before. It's Rabbi Ariel,
Okay,
Yisrael Ariel from the old city.
okay,
And he's got a museum for the Beit HaMikdash.
Yeah.
He's considered the #1 authority
okay, so that's who
in
you
the
need to look
world
at, right?
on the Beit HaMikdash. And he has had donors. He's building the Tehillim.
So that's who you need to find out. They're in the Kubal, be very careful.
Oh yeah. I hear
Somebody
you.
says they're Kabbalist.
Yeah.
Madonna also thinks she's a Kabbalist.
Who? Oh yeah.
So you just have.
Yeah. No,
There's a whole museum.
You know, there's a rule of thumb. A person who thinks they're close is really far. A person who thinks they're far is really close.
exactly.
I didn't say this.
I agree with you.
Okay, good. What's your name?
Shoshana.
Shoshana. Great name.
Shoshana's new in Tzfat.
You live here?
Well, sort of. I just got back
Are
here.
you South African?
I'm South African,
Okay.
but I live in London and half in Tzfat like a month and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I just got back.
A friend, my son was working
Blessed to be here full time.
I mean,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's a gift to be in a person.
I know. Thank you.
My son was working as a waiter. It was a whole group of South Africans, so he's coming home doing all the South African accents and stuff like that.
I
South
wanted-
Africans taking over Israel.
There's a
Okay.
book, I have it at home, I have to find it. Please God, later, I'll bring it in next week. But it's all about the gemstones
Oh,
relating to the Torah.
Oh,
I have to find it, because it would be nice to.
Yeah.
look at that.
yeah. Wow.
It doesn't say anything about the side of the moon that we don't see. Never see one side of the moon.
I don't know if we don't, I don't know, but I don't know if we never see it because I think it depends where you are in the world.
No, it's like this. We only see the same part of the moon. The same side. It's very strange.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Like I said, I don't know about this. I'm just, yeah, there's just so much, how deep we can go, Okay, the stars. The stars. Now this was like, oh my God, what do I know about the stars?
And another thing, they never talk about the planets. They talk about the moon, the sun, the stars, but not the planets. It's contradictory.
It's very interesting, certain things that they talk about, certain things they don't talk about. They talk about kosher animals and non-kosher animals. But then they'll talk about the cat, the dog, whatever, the lion, whatever, the bear. You know, there's tons of them. So why do they specifically talk about that? So there's a lot of things that
Yeah.
I'm still bothered that they don't talk about flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find something. One day try to find something that maybe it's included with the trees. They do have the trees. So, yeah. Okay, this is a long one. Kofim Omrim. Stars say. I'll read it in Hebrew and then read it in English. Atahu Hashem levadeka, atasisa es Shemaim shmei shmai v'kol tzva'am aretz v'kol asher alea hayami v'kol asher b'hem v'atamichei et kulam v'tzva shemai mishtakavi. Okay, now this is from Nehemiah, and I was thrilled because I never opened up a Nehemiah. Let's say from Nehemiah before. Do you know about it? You like this one? Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about what?
He was part of building the
Second base.
he went to the king and he was so sad about the got special permission. They got it built in 52 days.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
52 days, not 51 and not 52.
Right.
So in English, the stars say, you alone are Hashem, you made the heavens, the most exalted heavens and all their legion, the earth and all that is upon it, the seas and all that is in them, and you give them all life, and the heavenly legion bows to you. So this is like showing Hashem's complete mastery over every element in the universe. Like this is like, you know, and this, what I just read now, what the song of the stars was declared by Ezra. And before the Jewish people, in the early days of the Second Temple, after one of history's greatest displays of tshuva, they had once again messed up. We had once again messed up. And this was like a plea, confessing their communal guilt and asking Hashem to accept their tshuva. And that's the background of where this is coming from. And she does something very clever in here. Is because I also was like the stars. Oh my gosh, Nehemiah, what am I going to do with this? You know. So because when one of these songs are from Tehillim, I'll go through the Perushim, the commentaries on that pasuk of Tehillim. It's not, you know, that's what I usually do. But what does she do? Is she brings in the realm. Derek Hashem, and Derek Hashem has a chapter about the stars. I didn't quote the whole thing, so you know, but I quoted parts of it to know what the Derek Hashem, what he does is explains to us what the stars do. Okay, so basically he says, through the agency of the stars, everything's essence is brought to earth, from its spiritual roots on high down to the physical. Our sages teach us there's no Mazel Yisrael. The power of Shem's decrees and influence is stronger than the stars. So that we do have this thing with the stars, and that there's, like I said, it says the agent of the stars, each thing's essence is brought down to earth, right? From its spiritual roots on high down to the physical. The problem is that, okay, one more thing. The influence of the stars must bow down in submission to Hashem. So again, when we're talking about the sun, and maybe that's why they put the stars and the moon in Perek Shira. I'm just thinking about this now, because people did have this problem of, well, till today. Astrology it's not like we throw it in the garbage. No, astrology is a real science, and there's people like you know, I'm afraid to say who because I don't really remember. I think it was the Brunel, the Rambam. A lot of our great rabbis knew astrology, but now it's not like you look in the newspaper and say, today you're going to meet your destiny, you know, whatever. Obviously. But basically it's telling you that we have the stars, but again, it's the same concept, the same theme about, but Hashem is above the stars. And of course, we hear this all the time, that the Jews are above Mazal, right? Something can be declared, even on Rosh Hashanah, and we could, a certain amount of money, right? So it's like, so things can change. We can change them.
There is, I understand that there is this on this because in Chabad we don't do the Kiddush.
Right, between 6 and 7.
Certain time because of Mars,
Right.
planet Mars, or whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't do the voyage like
Right.
What
we
is
don't
Chabad
do.
doesn't make Kiddush between 6 and 7. So at night. So sometimes of the years you wouldn't even know about it because it's
Like
the time,
summertime,
like now,
right.
we never make Kiddush before
Right,
7.
but in the winter time?
Right, there's certain times when they will make Kiddush between 6 and 7.
So you have
blood
to wait,
is
yeah.
red and Mars is
Yeah, 1
red.
hour, I don't know, 6:40, 5:40. Between 1 hour in Friday, in Chabad, you don't do the Kiddush with red wine.
Right.
If it's white wine,
But you could do it with white wine?
yeah, but we don't do it. So we don't do a Kiddush in certain time because of the
Right,
like
right.
it's a negative energy maybe.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, so there is this and this.
Right.
It's like it works.
Yeah.
It's
It
also
works
an
something that we
amazing
are
book
above
by
because we can
Rabbi
go above.
Leib-
Oh, yeah.
That what?
Yeah.
Rabbi Glazerson,
Yeah.
Glazerson, it's called About the Zodiac. It's amazing about the.
Do you know he came to speak a million years ago? It's fine.
Oh, he's fabulous. He's written,
We should
You
try
know-
to get Judy to bring him.
yeah, it would be amazing. He's so at a zone, he's so special, the books he's written. And no one even has heard about him. He's just incredible.
Yeah,
His name
very
is
interesting.
Matisyahu Glazerson. Yeah, and he's also written the Torah codes, Torah. He's written, he's written about the meaning of the names and the gematria and the gematria of Shabbat, and it's mind-boggling when you
And he has
read those books
sources.
and you see the gematria of like the meaning of the word, and the Torah portions, and they all add up. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
incredible. He's amazing.
I think the same thing. I think Hashem uses the whole nature, the whole creation. It's his language. So there is everything that is connected. But we have to go above. We shouldn't be there only that we all
They shouldn't
worship.
stop it, right.
The
Yeah, all
main
the
ones
worship is the whole
are
creation
in
because
London. I'll bring them
everything's
next time.
amazing. The water is amazing. Something amazing.
Yeah, I'm planning to do
Everything's amazing.
So what is Ezra doing here? He's emphasizing that the Jewish people must leave behind their adoration of the stars because, what does it say over here? To you, all the hosts of the heavens bow down. So it's like again, like you have to remember those times when Ezra was speaking, is like he needed to remind the Jewish people, and we have to translate everything. It's not like, oh, it was for them and now this is not for me because I don't do that. No, everything is it's everything, whatever it is, whether it's the computer, whether it's I was gonna say internet, which I guess is the same thing, whatever it is, it's like everything has to be used for godly purposes. And that's what it comes down to. We know that Avram Avinu was told by Hashem he was taken from, Hashem took Avram Avinu out of his tent. So what does Rashi say there? He literally took him out of the tent, literally, but also for what? What did he want to show him? Come on, Shira. Why did Hashem take Avram Avinu out of the tent? What did he want to show him? When he did the Brit Milah, which are what? The sand. Thing is right. And
Wait, I didn't hear the
I'm
first
sorry,
thing you
sorry. I'm embarrassed.
I didn't hear what you weren't supposed to have any children. We're gonna go above the stars, and your children will be like the number of stars in the sky.
You come out to see the stars?
Yeah, I do know, that would be a good, not A good riddle. How do you know it was nighttime when Hashem took Avram Avinu out of the tent? He took it around. She says he took him out to see the stars. Right.
When
Right.
we did the Brit Milah, I was saying, what?
Oh, I didn't say anything about it.
No, which part is this?
Hashem took Avram Avinu, said, come on, he took him out of the tent. Avram Avinu was in the tent. Conscious, I don't know exactly what it was. Actually, it says Rashis, oh, I have it. Rashis, 15:5. He took him outside, an instruction from Hashem to leave your predestined astrological destiny and become the father of the Jewish people, right? To go out of, get out of your comfort zone, get out of what you think you could be, get out of whatever you think is planned for you. Like you see people have come situations that you cannot believe what they made of themselves. They had everything. What? Oh yeah.
She's not amazing. She got all that because she's part of the whole new world order thing.
Well, she was like an orphan, her mother was.
She's part of the new world
Yeah,
order.
she's really,
She's not a
she's not a good
person, and she's part of the new world order, and there's a lot about that.
Okay, well, okay, so it's better to use as an example somebody that you really know. Like there's certain people who were raised against odds. Let's say that, everything happened, like the parents got divorced and the mother ran away and the father became I don't know what, and they had every reason. Why Jacob talks about this all the time. You are not your trauma.
You are
have
not
to-
what?
You're not your trauma. You're not, you have to take whatever you went with and lift it up and say, I don't want to be a mother like that. I'm not going to mother like that because I know what that feels like. Whatever, I'm not going to be that kind of a wife. And that's not the example that I want. I see how what the damage and did or whatever. But basically, people, you can't just say things are carved in stone and I'm this kind of a stone, because that's just what Hashem dealt me, these cards, and that's it. No, we have cards, right? We were, it's funny when you play Scrabble. I love Scrabble. So there's always the discussion about what percentage of it is luck. Okay, and I think somebody looked it up and they said 15%, which just doesn't seem very much. And you can have all one pointers, right? But if you do it well on the board, you can get a lot of points. There's a J on the board or an X on the board and you use it. Right.
Yeah.
That's not so important. Don't try to understand.
What you're talking about.
I'm just trying to
It's a word game.
I'm saying we're
Children
given,
have a really bad.
if we're given, I actually one of the best share I ever heard on the Tanya. It's by Rav Dr. Professor Brower, my new person, and Yaakov Brower. And he said, everyone's given a deck of cards. He said, some people are given aces and kings, and some people are given deuces. Your job is not to change your deck of cards, because you were given that many cards, and to spend your whole life going, why wasn't I given that? And how come I'm not so smart? How come I'm not so beautiful? How come I don't have so much money? And how come she has this and she has a great husband and her parents are unbelievable? It's a waste of time at least. Say, okay, what do I do with my situation? And you see big people did big things. Big people. These are the people who did big things. Helen Keller. It's beyond.
Every negative situation has an amazing silver lining.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
You actually grow from it.
Right, exactly.
It's an opportunity.
You grow, you're right, exactly.
I say those same words, there's always a silver lining. Look for
Always.
the silver lining.
Yeah.
Always.
But it's
Always.
definitely-
It was without fail. Without fail.
Right.
Because it's like, happen things to go down And then, but there is a rising.
Yeah,
There is an arising.
yeah, always.
I have to go.
Right,
Opportunity.
right. Okay, yeah, so basically the Song of the Stars is that while they do have some astrological significance, their power is overridden by Hashem, right? When his people merit his intervention. So that's what it comes down to. That's, so we're gonna stop there.
Thank you so much.
So we're gonna go on
Like now
to,
they have different spiritual life. They said that, this time now, 2012, it's like a time of, and the world is gonna change, the world is gonna finish. They have some views of this time that we are living.
right.
Are you still gonna continue the stars? or you
No,
finished?
no, we finished our, we're on to clouds.
Cause she says a lot in here.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's definitely,
So on your phone, you can play some Scrabble.
no, thank you, I don't.
There's a thing that says, Mom, say you play a verb and it's 15 points.
I just find it
Thermometer
so
will
much.
show you there's something out here that's wait, and we go like, okay, then you play something else and it's like, oh, I found something for 20 points. It goes, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and
I'll
so
tell you
it lets
something.
you, it doesn't show you where, but it tells you, keep looking because you can do better.
I'm
I
just
love
afraid.
it. It's a little, it's not really cheating, but it's like,
No, I'm just
I
afraid
don't
I'll
want
get,
to
have you
stop
turned,
looking if I know there's something out there.
I don't make.
No, I'm just afraid that.
It's like, I connect with them, it's like, they take their turn and I feel like, oh, they said hi. And then I take my turn and I say hi back. I go to the daily hi. And as long as they're taking their scramble, I feel like, oh, it's well. You read it into this conversation, read it, word it. So I keep